Hello there, Seraphim17 once again. This is my Kingdom Hearts 2 Critical Mode video walkthrough. This is the Grim Reaper boss fight, and he's actually a pretty tricky one. He's a tricky one because it's an environmental fight more than it is anything else. You are subduing the Grim Reaper to get the coins out of him, to put them in the chest so that you can deal damage to his life bar. And a great way of doing this is to hit him with ice to freeze him, and then hit him with lightning to knock some things out of him. Whenever you're going to do anything with this guy, as far as putting the coins into the chest or attacking him, you want to always try and preface it with ice if you can. You'll notice I go immediately into the limit form, and I use the strike rate ability. I used it more then for iframes to try and do some damage, with the hopes of getting some good damage or some coins out, maybe a little bit of both. Here is a little one of the reaction commands, pretty damn good stuff, and it gives us a nice opportunity to grab some stuff. I'm going to be using limit form a lot more throughout this, and for the people who were curious why after I mentioned not liking the drive forms a lot, it's mainly just to get the ability to use the roll. That is all it is, guys. If I could do something else to get the roll, or to get those other evasive abilities, then I would, but you have to use the drive forms. It's the way the game's designed. This fight, however, can be tricky if you're unfamiliar with the character's moves. He's got some pretty big AoE attacks, he's got the ability to do decent damage to you, but chances are you're probably not going to die from, being overwhelmed in this fight. You're going to die from just the duration of it, because it spends more time trying to get the coins than you do hurting the boss, and inevitably you're going to run through your items, you're going to run through your abilities, and you're probably going to run out of magic power, and if a game over screen does come, it'll come at your expense because of those things. So you'll notice I've gone immediately into the limit form, the Trinity limit, just to try and get some damage on the boss. We're not getting any damage. I'm not too sure how the limits work in full effect and how to best use them, because there's something that I've never really looked into, but I was watching a speedrun for this game, and they were mentioning things about the limits that kind of gave me an idea of what's the best way to use them, but it's definitely something that I'm probably going to be looking into researching, because I can't wait to get back and play this game. It's been a while since I've played it, what with all the other projects that are happening on the channel, and I'm alternating, and this one's recorded, so I moved on to the other ones, but there's just something fun about the Kingdom Hearts series. Oh, by the way, you can completely dodge this by standing on the crates to my right. I decided to do it that way because I didn't know about the crate at the time, but I figured that out this crate here, you jump on top of that perfectly fine from the AoE. But it's like a battle of wills, just trying to damage this guy fast. And the problem with it is there was a strategy in the old version of the game where you could counter him immediately after he sucked up all of the coins, and you could counter him and get all the coins back, but that technique no longer works. And unbeknownst to me, it's the technique that I used to use to fight this guy. Just one of those things I used to do, but then when I watched the speedrun, it was the official way of doing this guy the best, so it was a nice feeling to know that strategy had value, even if, I'm under no illusion that I came up with it, because I didn't. I was just a dude, sat in my front room without the internet playing Kingdom Hearts 2. But in this version of the game, it doesn't work, so there's no point, and if you are looking to do things the fastest, if you are into speedrunning and you want to get into speedrunning Kingdom Hearts 2, there's literally no justification to start with this one. Aside from the fact it looks pretty, and it's on a PS3 if that's your only console, the PlayStation 2 version is superior. Specifically the Kingdom Hearts Final Mix version of it. Or KH2FM as all the speedrunners say, which I don't think I'm ever going to get to the point where I love a game that much, or I'm that deep in a game where I'm actively using the acronym in speech, because I'm one of those people who's kind of old-fashioned with language. I like to avoid using acronyms in anything other than writing. The only reason I really use acronyms in writing is when it's on Twitter and there's a limit, or when it's just quicker and I've got a lot of things to do and I'm busy. Because I don't really like to shorten and abbreviate too many things, unless it's for comedic effect, or it's more apt at saying the things I want to say. I find the concept of saying LOL is just disgraceful to me, personally. And that's just on a language front, I can't do with it. It's like when people say meh. That although that is now becoming, you know, it started off as probably like a meme and an internet neologism, it's actually becoming part of the language now, because language does that. It evolves, it changes, it morphs, it takes in the dialects and the colloquialisms that people are using, and it becomes canon. So the canonization of the term meh is a really sad thing for me, because meh is kind of the word people say when they don't have the imagination to say anything else, or the will to do so. And what's the point in knowing a beautiful language that's been refined over hundreds and hundreds of years if you're not going to at least try and use it with the respect it deserves? And a funny thing about language and dialects and things, because I obviously have an accent. If you're American, you're probably thinking, you know, who's this Australian guy? And I'm only kidding. But I do have an accent. It's one of those things where it's oblivious to me because it's all I've ever really heard, and it's my area, but to other people it's quite different, it's quite unique. And I said Magnega in this walkthrough, and apparently the guy thought I said my nigger. So that just goes to show, guys, not only am I a YouTube commentator, but I'm also an aspiring rap artist. But that is an interesting one to confuse, because that is a term that you probably will never hear me really say, because one, I'm not a rapper, and I don't have the street cred to change that racial slur into something that's somehow jovial and like a term of endearment for a friend. But there you go. That was an interesting comment to wake up to today. But I'm using strike rate here so that I can do damage on him while he's going to teleport away. And that's the end of the fight, guys. A pretty tricky one. I think that was the first fight I died on. And I died a few times. Very long fight. But thank you for watching, and you take care now.